Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Fun Fold Friday. I'm Dorene Decibus, and I am from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and I'm really happy to have you joining me tonight, whether you are watching me live, or if you are watching the replay, or even if you are on my YouTube channel watching the video after I post it there. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for supporting my small business. I really appreciate that you are doing that. Just trying to make sure my camera is centered so that you can see everything clearly. So it looks like it is. So I'm going to get started. So welcome to this week's edition of Fun Fold Friday. I am going to be using some things that are retiring in our catalog, and there are only a couple weeks left. Not even a couple weeks, less than 2 weeks left to purchase some of these items. And I want to first talk about the Cottage Rose bundle. It is such a beautiful bundle. I love this set, and it comes with matching dies. And normally I would ask you to really encourage you to buy the bundle, but right now I don't encourage you to buy the bundle because the dies are on sale for $23.80. And normally this bundle sells for $53 when it's discounted by its 10%. The stamps are not discounted, but they are selling for $25. And with the dies, you can get the bundle for $43. Excuse me, $48.80. And that is buying each of them separately. So that is what I would encourage you to do. So I'll be sharing what we're going to be using in this set. It is a cling stamp set. And as we go along, I'm also using the champagne rhinestones in tonight's card. These are retiring as well, and you can get them on my online store for $5.40. I'm using the ribbon that goes with the suite, and I'm using the designer series paper that goes with the suite. And the papers that I'm using are right here from the suite. So I'm using these 3 pieces of designer series paper. This is a cool card. It has lots of room for you to use your designer series paper. And this is the Abigail Rose designer series paper. So I'm using 3 of 2 different designs. They're all 5 1/4 by 4 inches. I will be posting all of the dimensions of tonight's card and where you need to score in the comments under this video on Facebook and under the description on YouTube. So we are using, I'll show you what the card looks like. If you've been on my Facebook page today, you've already seen it. So we need those 3 pieces of Abigail Rose that are 5 1/4 by 4. We also are going to be using a piece of basic white thick cardstock that measures 5 1/2 by 11 inches, and we're going to be scoring it at 4 1/4 inches, 5 1/2 inches, and 6 3/4 inches. That is going to give us that M fold. We're also going to need some basic white cardstock for stamping and die cutting. We're going to need a piece that is 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. This is going to be the inside, on the inside layer of our card. For crumb cake, for crumb, we're going to also need crumb cake cardstock, and this is the piece for the inside that is 3 inches by 4 inches, so I'll set that aside. And I have some scraps of basic white cardstock that I'm going to be using to do some stamping on. And we also need 2 pieces of crumb cake that measure 4 3/16 of an inch by 1 1/4 inches and 3 3/4 inches by 1 1/4 inches. We're going to be embossing this larger piece. And then for the front layer, we're going to need a piece that is 3¼ inches by 3 inches. We're going to be embossing some of this, and I'm going to show you that in just a minute. So let me show you the card that we're making tonight. This is what it looks like. As I said, it's an M fold card. So we're going to be stamping with the beautiful Cottage Rose set. We're going to be die cutting our image out. We're going to be embossing with the Fern embossing folder. This is not retiring, but it is a really nice botanical type of embossing folder. So we'll be embossing with that, and you can see that it's embossed here on the front. Just hold that up a little closer. And we're using the ribbon on the front. And then when I open the card, you can see that it makes, either it's going to look like right now as I hold it, it's going to look like more like a W or a V fold. But if I turn it the other way, it does, it gives you that M kind of fold that it's, you know. What's nice about it is because of the size of the cardstock in this fold, you have lots of room to use up your designer series paper, which I really like. You have a place that we're going to stamp, and you have a place, again, that I'm going to emboss. So let me set this aside so that we can get started. So let me just move a few things out of my way. So what I am going to do first is grab my score pal, and I'm going to put my cardstock right up here. And there's not much scoring you have to do for this card. I'm going to score it at 4¼ I'm going to score it at 5½, and I'm going to score it at 6¾ and that is it. So 4¼ 5½, and 6¾ and then we're just going to do some creasing with our bone folder. Anytime that you're doing a fun fold, you want to make sure you are really creasing those edges. Because that helps with that fun fold to stand up nicely. Okay, I'm going to start with my front. So let me just grab all of those pieces that I need. So I'm going to start by taking my tulip piece of designer series paper. Isn't that just beautiful? And I'm going to add my ribbon to the front of it. Now I did show you how with this ribbon that goes with the suite, you are able to stamp on it. So that, I mean, to me, is just the coolest. So I always start with putting a little bit of adhesive on my ribbon. So I'm going to have a piece that is in this, that I've put adhesive on the center, and then I've put it on each edge so that when I fold it over, it's just going to fold over so nicely. So it looks like that. And then I am going to add my adhesive. I'm using the Stampin' seal. This is my go-to adhesive. Some people use the liquid glue. My go-to is just that. So there's that piece. I'm going to come on the inside, and I'm going to add my other 2 pieces. This back side of the designer series paper is really pretty too. So again, I'm going to add my adhesive to both of these pieces. And one of the pieces goes on the right side. Just want to make sure it's, yeah, I think that's the way I want it. And I'm just going to center this on this piece of cardstock. And then I'm going to take my other piece and I'm going to center it on the left side of the card. Okay, so the paper is done, the scoring is done, we're on our way. The next thing that I'm going to do is some stamping. So I'm going to start with these two pieces, and tonight I'm using something else that's retiring. We have a great new brown coming in, but we are saying goodbye to early espresso. So if you do not have the refill for your ink pads that are retiring, I would highly suggest that you go to my online store if you don't have a Demonstrator, or to your Demonstrator's online store and pick up the re-inkers, because that way your ink pads will last forever. Okay, so there's our beautiful rose. I'm going to set that stamp aside. And then I am also going to be stamping this single flower 3 times. And I just want to fit it on my cardstock 3 times. Okay, oops, not done yet. And then I'm going to take my smaller, so here are the 2 pieces. I have the larger one here, and on the smaller one I am going to be stamping the best wishes. Just want to make sure I have the smaller one here. Good. I am going to be stamping the best wishes. I always stamp it on my scrap paper first because I want to make sure I've got the stamp on evenly. There we go. That is stamped. And then the last stamp that I am going to need is this threesome here. This is the threesome, the 3 different flowers. And I am going to be stamping this larger one. So I'm just going to ink up the larger one. There we go. And I'm going to be stamping that right here in the corner. So there we go. Oh, and we do have one more to stamp. Let's just get all of our stamping done at once. And for the inside, I'm going to use the sentiment, "You are positively the greatest." Okay. And there we go. Now we are all set with our stamping. So the next step is that I am going to take my embossing folder and I am going to put my pieces right in the embossing folder, and I'm going to run this through the embossing, my die cut machine, and through the magic of television. Here I have my 2 pieces that are embossed. And then I am going to take these images here and I'm going to die cut them. So, some tricks to share with you when die cutting these. The first trick is with, I'm going to lay this onto I'm going to match it up as well as I can. There we go. That looks good. And I am going to take my Post-it note tape and hold my die in place. This way, I don't have to worry as it goes through its little bit of bumpiness as it's being die cut, that the die is going to stay in place and let me cut it really nicely and evenly, and I don't have to worry about stopping it and trying to get it all reset up. Now the next one, this flower die is part of this larger die, which is a very cool die. You get, here are the 3 flowers I showed you. There's lots of things. But what you want to be careful about is that if I line this up, I've got it fine here, but if I lined up this one first, you can see that I'm going to cut out some of my other flower. So I'm going to take one flower at a time. I'm going to line up this die, take a piece of my Post-it note tape, and I'm going to also attach that. And I'm going to run this through the die cutting machine, and I am going to die cut all 3 of those flowers. And I have already done that to just save a little time. And I don't feel you need to watch me die cutting all of this. Okay, so let's get back to putting this card together. Now that we've got everything cut, embossed the way we need to, we're set to go. So what I'm going to do first is add this greeting sentiment layer on top of the piece of crumb cake. And I am going to be putting this piece right on the inside panel. Now the flowers that I'm using on the Designer Series paper, I could write right on that Designer Series paper. But I have left a little bit of room right on this tag so that I can write here too a little bit of a wish. Now for my best wishes, I'm going to actually make this into a banner. So when I go to make something into a banner, I cut up the distance I want the banner to be right in the center or as close to the center that I can make it. And then I just cut those ends off to make the angle there. So I'm going to want this to, when the card opens, to be right underneath this where it says you are positively the greatest. So best wishes. So I'm only going to put my adhesive right here on the end. And again, I'm going to line this up. I don't want to go over my fold. I want it to still be able to fold together nicely. And then I'm going to take and attach this, but I want to do so they're even. So that's my goal there, is to have them be directly across from each other. And again, I don't want to go over my fold. I want to still be able to fold this at the end. So you can see that that's going to fold nicely. I'm going to take my 3 die cut flowers and I am going to just add a little bit of adhesive, and I'm going to put one here on the left, and I'm going to take one and put on the right. I'm going to have them turning in those directions. I'm going to make sure that this flower doesn't go off of the edge. Same with this one. I don't want to have it fold while I am folding my card. And then I am going to take a couple of dimensionals and pop up the center flower. This one is going to overlap those 2 inside flowers. And so I'm going to put that right there. So here is the inside of our card. We have the best wishes, the flowers, and the greeting. it can open up and it's going to sit like that. So now all we have to do is start taking care of the front panel. So to attach this beautiful floral image, I'm going to use dimensionals. So I'm going to spread those dimensionals out all over the rose. So I'm going to use several. I just don't want it to flatten out when the card is closed. So our new catalog comes out the first week of May. That is really exciting. And my friend and fellow demonstrator, Leslie Percival, and I are going to be kicking off the online release for the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of the catalog release for that first week in May. And we're going to be showing you some of the new bundles, some of the new suites. We're going to be showing you all the new in colors, the returning colors, the new colors. And so you're going to be able to see a lot of ideas. I'm going to start the party off Tuesday night with a review of the catalog, kind of a fresh peek at it. And then Leslie is going to join you at 7 and share one of the suites with you. And then we're going to both be coming to you live each of those nights. And I will be posting a schedule on my Facebook page. I'll be posting those videos to YouTube as well, and I will be including a link to Leslie's videos so that you can see both of them. It's going to be a lot of fun for us. We're both looking forward to it because we have so many different favorite items in the catalog. So the only thing that I have left to do now is to add my bling. So I'm going to start with a larger champagne rhinestone. I like to do my rhinestones in groups of, well, odd numbers, but usually groups of 3, and I try to make it into a triangle so that it really catches the eye nicely. So this is this week's Fun Fold Friday, our M Fold, using the Cottage Rose Suite, which again is retiring. I will include a link to my website if you're interested in purchasing this. Remember to purchase the stamp set and dies separately because you'll get a better deal that way. So the card, this is the front of the card. It opens up to that M fold, and you can close this so you can read all of the greetings. And it stands up nicely, and you should be able to see that nice M now as it's standing up nicely. So thank you so much for supporting my small business. Thank you for joining me tonight on Facebook during the live or the replay. And thank you very much for joining me on YouTube if that is where you watch me. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to follow my Facebook page so that you're always in the know for everything Stamping Up. So I hope you enjoy a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next Friday night for another Fun Fold Friday. Good night, everybody.